So this is scale 10, which is performing arithmetic on vectors, including dot product. So the first thing you had to find was what the vector is going to be. So you use the magnitude, for the x-coordinate, you'd use the magnitude, and then you'd multiply it by the cosine of the angle, and for the y value, you'd multiply the magnitude by the sine of that angle. Again, you do the same thing for vector v, except you'd use a different magnitude and a different angle, because you have to do what it's corresponding to. So that's essentially the initial calculations you have to go through. This is the exact form and this is approximation. Again, you can also use the law of sines to get this value. Now for part A, to calculate where the vector is, you essentially add the x-coordinates together and then add the y-coordinates together. For the magnitude, you can use the Pythagorean theorem based on the vector addition rule, and essentially I did the square root of this squared plus this squared, and it gave me the value, or the magnitude of this, and I got that to be 19.21. And then for degrees, I basically use arctangent to determine the degrees of that vector. And now part B was the subtraction of vectors, and basically I subtracted the corresponding x-coordinates together and the y-coordinates together. And again, this is the exact form, this is the approximation form. So then to calculate the magnitude, I again did Pythagorean theorem to get the magnitude of 19.21. And then for the direction, I again used arctangent to get the direction, because you know the opposite value and the adjacent value. That's why you're able to do that. And then for part C would be the dot product. So basically with the dot product, you multiply the two x-coordinates together and then the two y-coordinates together, and then you add them together. So that's what the dot product is. So as you can see, they both were the same value, except one was just the opposite. And so when I added it together, I got the value of 0. And it can be explained by this general formula, I guess, which is a times b equals ax times bx plus ay times by. So that's how you calculate the dot product.